My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every single week, we break down full fight cards. We give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our content. First up, at UFC Vegas 47, we have Malcolm Gordon fighting UFC newcomer Dennis Bondar. Malcolm Gordon, 13-5 overall, 3-2 in his last five, and he's coming off a win over the other Figueiredo brother. Dennis Bondar is 5-0 in his last five. He's riding a 10-fight win streak. He's 16-3 overall, and this is an interesting fight, and it's opening up the card. Malcolm Gordon's a BJJ black belt. He's got solid striking, or at least it's technical. His chin is a little suspect. He has a really high striking guard, so he's keeping his hands right up here, almost like a Muay Thai stance. And he likes to come forward. In the past, that's opened him up for takedowns. It's opened him up to get cracked every now and then. But ultimately, that's fine because he wants to be on the ground. He wants to play the grappling and the jiu-jitsu game. He does average almost 2 takedowns per fight, but he has a very low 18% takedown accuracy. Because of his chin, his path in this fight and any other fight to victory is to get it to the ground as quickly as possible. Dennis Bondar is wild. He's wild. He comes running forward, just wings punches from all directions, and then he drops down, grabs your legs, picks you up old school Matt Hughes style, as I like to say, and then walks you across the cage, slams you down. His takedowns and slams are really, really impressive. On the ground, his jiu-jitsu is solid. It's pretty basic, meaning, and I've said this a few times, and I don't want anybody to get offended. It's basic, meaning he has mastered the basics. He has really nice positional control, nice arm bars, head and arms, solid, straightforward submissions like that, and he will run those basics from top. He works from position to position. He moves really well on the ground. He's not likely to snatch something in a scramble or anything like that, but he is solid on top. And Dennis Bondar is absolutely the pick for me. Even though Gordon will probably have a speed advantage, a technique advantage on their feet, and he's the more technical jiu-jitsu guy, I do think Bondar's wild punches are going to get Gordon to back up, potentially catch Gordon, whose chin is not good at all, and throw him out of rhythm. Bondar's relentless takedown attempts will absolutely be there. He'll get it to the ground. I see him dominating. Gordon's going to have the better jiu-jitsu, but I don't think it's going to be a threat, especially not off his back. It's certainly possible Malcolm Gordon gets a takedown, but not with 18% takedown accuracy. I like Dennis Bondar here to have a very, very shiny and fun UFC debut. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, this is kind of throwing him into the fire. You mentioned this is the UFC debut, so we'll see how he performs in the bright lights of the Apex with all 12 fans. But this is kind of throwing him into the fire because Malcolm Gordon is a good grappler in his own right. He also wants to offensive wrestle, and I think this really is going to come down to, quite simply, is who is better off their back. And unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of tape from Bondar on his back because he's usually the offensive guy. But we have seen Gordon on his back, and that was the last fight. He kind of got out-scrambled by Figgy at times, and he kind of struggled on his back. He kind of sat there, and Figgy was able to control him. He lost a couple scrambles. And I think in this situation, I think Malcolm's going to try an offensive grapple. I think Dennis is going to try an offensive grapple. And you mentioned Bondar. His name is the Psycho. I think he wins the scrambles. I think he controls the top position a lot better than Malcolm's going to be able to, even if Malcolm is able to get the takedown you mentioned he's probably not going to be able to get. So I'm with you all the way. I actually think these odds are probably a little bit wide since he is a newcomer and Malcolm is good in his own right, but I'm definitely Dennis all the way in this fight.
Yeah, so we're both on Dennis Bondar. Or Bondar. The problem is with UFC debuts, it's really hard to just stick a flag in the ground and say, I'm throwing my money here. But if we look at the odds, I mean, he's a sizable favorite. Malcolm Gordon is, the problem is his chin and his offensive grappling is hard to get it done when that's his path. What do you think of the monkey knife fight line? The reality is, I do think this fight goes a little longer. I mean, Malcolm Gordon is still, I wouldn't say a UFC vet, but he's got some solid experience at this level. I think he can, as long as he doesn't get clipped when Dennis comes in with those wild strikes, I think he can survive a bit, and more is probably the play here.
I agree, and this could be one of those fights where they both want to offensive grapple, and it turns into kind of a stalemate, and then they end up striking a little bit. So I think even if they grapple, there's some scrambles, they get back to their feet, and I think they strike a little bit more than you would expect. So I definitely would play them more and more.
Yeah, and anybody who wants to mess with those lines, that is Monkey Knife Fight. So go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. You essentially see the line like this, and you say more or less strikes will be landed. And if you're right, you can triple your money. You put a few together, you 25 times your money. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, if you're new to it, every Friday we drop a full video about how we feel about these cards with the line. So if you're new, sign up and look for Friday's video, and we'll help you out.
It's a ton of fun. And DraftKings, also fantasy. Listen, $9,100 for a UFC newcomer. I get it. He's definitely the better fighter. I think he should win. I don't necessarily like him at $9,100. And there's a lot of fighters on this card that I don't love at that price range. But the problem is Malcolm Gordon's chin is just always prime to get cracked, which is that 9,100 is like such a tricky one because I don't think he's necessarily worth it. But, one punch could end that.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to be a punch either, right? It could be a ground and pound elbow across the face, so that $9,100 is kind of, you want to finish really for $9,100. And I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Malcolm Gordon. So it's probably a play in like a multi-entry for sure, but I don't know, straight up cash game.
Yeah, and I know the narrative is that Malcolm Gordon gets knocked out if you sneeze too hard, but the reality is he's 13-5. He's got a long career. He's fought a lot of good guys, and he's taken some damage. So yes, he's been put out cold. His chin is not the best, but he's
I've never been knocked out.
Okay. We can change that. You keep running your mouth. You want 50 free bucks? Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our partners. Make a deposit. Let me know after you do. And I'll send you 50 bucks as a thank you for supporting us and our partners.